Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Weird Science Manga and Anime Podcast. I'm here with my man, Luke Hollywood. What up, Luke?
What up, Jim?
What up? And we're here for Manga Monday, and we're going to keep the sports going here.
Get your head in the
a bit
game.
of the basketballs. This is going to be something that is near and dear to our hearts because of the High School Musical. And speaking of which, you told me there's a lot of musicals for this. This is Kuroko Basketball. And yeah, we'll see how
Very
this
good.
goes, right? And it's one of those things I've actually seen a couple episodes of the anime, and it's okay. I mean, this first chapter is not it's not a banger. You end up having to wait for a little bit to get going, but we'll get to that in a minute. Give me some information for this one, Luke.
Yes, this is the Kuroko's Basketballs, written and drawn by Tadadoshi Fujimakis, first published in Weekly Shonen Jump from December 2008 to September 2014, for a total of 30 volumes, which is respectable for any manga, let alone a sports manga. It was adapted into 3-season anime by Studio Production IG from 2012 to 2015. I think, is that anime on the Netflix?
I don't know where I saw
where
it.
did you see it?
Yeah, I thought it might have been on the Crunchyroll or something like that, or Funimation. I'm not sure, but I did end up seeing it. But now that you say, might have been on the Netflix, because it might have even been before we started doing some stuff. So I know
a lot of people compare it to the haiku. The volleyballs, I think I might be more about the volleyballs than the basketballs.
I get kind of that idea, but you kind of go a separate way. It's kind of a weird deal because at the beginning, when we start this, there's not really that many people to root for. In haiku, there's definitely people to root for right away. Yeah, there's gems galore. But not here, right?
No,
here's the deal. That's what we're going to get here. We get kazoos. That's the anti-gem, the kazoo.
Jeez.
Anything else?
A few little things. We did get a sequel series, Kuroko's Basketball Extra Game. And that ran from December 2014 to March 2016 in Jump Next. And I don't know what that is. So, a magazine? Maybe?
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Maybe it was digital. It could have been like a digital thing.
But was it translated? Was it brought over to the
I'm
West?
not sure, because I know. And they had the 2-in-1s for this series. So, and I'm reading it off the Jump app. You can
I
read
have the
whole
2-in-1.
thing. You have the 2-in-1. But I don't know if the 2-in-1 includes all that as well, or if it's a separate thing that never got translated,
No, well, I don't know either. And it would be weird because it's not on the app. We end up having the regular one that we're going through on the Shonen Jump app.
That we'll never get.
The weirdest thing is at the end you have, quick little snippet of flubs and, bloopers. That was odd. That was very odd at the deal. Anything else?
A few more things. We did have light novels, audio CDs, 3 video games, which is very impressive, on the PlayStation Portables and the likes, and the DSs, and the Crown Jewel, 4 stage plays. Oh my goodness.
We haven't had that in a while.
4 is pretty good.
Got it. 4 is pretty good. Do you think that they just show up and they just play basketball and you watch them and then they yell out names? That would be funny. It's just basketball games and they just claim, oh, by the way, this is the stage play. You're like, I don't recognize any of this. It's just a game.
Picture and it looked pretty legit to me. I'm telling you, they had the hair, they had it all. Oh boy.
Well, there you go. I mean, if you're going to do a stage play, you might as well go all in. I'm looking now to see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, it looks pretty good.
They have all the different colors. I'm impressed.
It's pretty crazy there. Some of the looks. That's crazy stuff. But I'd like to see. Maybe I'll even look. Maybe we'll find it on YouTube because we have watched. We didn't understand what they were saying, but we ended up watching.
If they had the squeaky shoes, we're in.
Well, then and then I'm singing "Get Your Head in the Game," and then it all is well. So we'd be good. Is that it? Are we ready to jump in?
One last thing. One more little tidbit. This manga was also the author of the Robot X Laser Beam, which is a golf.
It's a golf
manga.
one. Yeah, I've seen.
Have we done that one?
No,
I can't remember.
We have not because
Maybe
I end up seeing it. I'm like, huh, what's that? Like some mecha? Oh, it's that golf one. And I ended up, not going. Now, if you still ended up doing your like this, read that, I'm sure that would be right
My
in
goodness.
there. That would be really good for that. But now can we start?
Let's
It's
roll.
like I'm raring to go for the game. Let's get in the game, as
let's
I
start
say.
Bouncing balls.
Yeah, and so when we get into this, we said already a little bit of a spoiler. There's not a lot of people to like in this first chapter. I don't know if you're supposed to be intrigued or if you're supposed to feel bad. But the weird play is the guy that is the, supposedly the crazy guy from the Generation team is not very likable and is kind of a little, not sus, but he's kind of a weakling. We end up having the guy who is like the big dude who will probably end up, being pretty good. He's a jerk. So it's hard to actually grab on to anybody. So if you didn't like basketball and didn't like, I think that this would be promised, but the idea, it was popular. So there you go. So it must, get better as we go. But we're introduced right away to this miracle generation, this team of junior high players, 5 players, unlike 5 they've ever seen. They end up being this huge deal where they were undefeated. There hasn't been that collection of players. Now, the weird thing is they all end up scattering off to different high schools and things like that, they say. But there was a strange rumor, of another player, a 6th player, the 6th man in the idea of the miracle generation. But it was something like a phantom type deal.
He was the ghost basketballs.
And with that, he's still just the 6th man. And I don't know if they get that idea there, where that's not a guy who starts. And I don't even know why he would be that big a thing. But
how many people are on a basketball team?
There's usually like 11 guys. You have a bench. You could have us, but different leagues and different things have it. But you don't just have the starting 5. You're going to have the next. Now, the 6th guy, that's the guy who would come in a lot of times, and there's even awards in NBA, the 6th man award and stuff like that. So him coming in, but it's weird. This idea where you're just playing with nobody knows who it is. Well, don't you have game film? I mean, seriously, as anybody watches this team, we find out why, but not really. And then I'm thinking at one point it's Ghost basketball player, it's Ghost Kid, but it's not. It's a weird play. It is a weird play with that because you end up going and we get to the school time here and you end up having, and this is first quarter, I'm Kuroko, and there's clubs being picked. Everybody's doing this. We've seen this a lot in the Japanese stuff with the clubs being a big thing, right? So they end up, and like you said, in some manga, we got the spirit chasing clubs and the ghost hunters. We have this and that. But you have a bunch of people going around. There's heavy recruiting, all these different sports and stuff like this. But as this goes on, you end up, and it's funny too, because I even read this, and I don't even think that I really realized Kuroko at that one point was here. Now that I see him, where he's the guy who was walking through reading the manga, and somebody comes up, hey, you want to be in the literature club? You want to be in the book reading club? He's like, I don't really like books. This is a manga. Oh, come on. Manga, that's a book too. That could be counted with. Now, is the play here that nobody else recognizes him or sees him, but
he's
this guy
slipping and sliding
but
through.
This guy does. Is it because he's kind of a nerd or something?
No,
I don't know.
That's a different guy.
Yeah, is it? Yeah, I guess.
So
No, because he goes up to him and then he changes. Oh, yeah, he walks by.
He's got different hair. The whole thing
it's
is
a weird deal. They're both holding manga or whatever
he's so
going by.
Invisible.
Yeah,
nobody
I didn't
can
even
see him.
that. That's the big play. He's
is
so
this
invisible.
Supposed to be that he's good, like at weaving, bobbing and weaving?
He doesn't have any sort of. No, I just think that nobody pays attention to him. That's the whole play. That's all it is. I mean, you get this deal where he wants to sign up for something. He does see, and he sees the basketball deal. Now, we don't actually see much of him kind of signing up or doing at the point where they're going through the sign-ups. They don't even remember this guy being there. And so what happens, though, is they're out recruiting guys, and you do end up finding that they find this big guy, Kagami, who is a first year. He's huge. I mean, this guy's, humongous. And he ends up signing up, and he was a guy who played basketball in the U.S. He ended up, I guess his family had moved to the U.S. for a bit. He had played. He's back in Japan. He wants to play basketball. He's kind of a jerk. He, even with the guy recruiting him, he picks him up by the shirt, right, and carries him over. He's like, I don't know who escorted who here. Oh my God. And so, yeah, the guy's real intense. They even say he's like a wild tiger.
He's got bling. I wonder
Are
if
you supposed to like this guy at all?
No.
I don't know. You're not supposed to. And he's
Are
kind
you
of a
supposed to
jerk.
like anybody? Even the lady manager gets a bit sus later on.
Yeah, she does. Now, with that, I don't hate it's just we're saying about the idea of, starting out, who you're trying to grab onto and who you're supposed to see. The only thing that I can think is Kagami, he's, so much bigger than everyone. He seems to be better. Though they say he doesn't have a refined skill set. He's like a brute, but still with that, I think that we're supposed to hope that the others kind of, come on, get as good as him or, put him in his place. But I don't know. It's weird because even when we continue, we don't really meet the, upperclassmen. This high school doesn't really have third years. They only have first and second. They just started the school. So that kind of is like a weird way to make everybody almost of the same level. So you don't have like seniors that would be starters. So everything's up in the air. But yeah, the whole deal of this is that they're going to get, this Taiga Kagami. He's going to be on the team and they wonder what else is going on. The weird thing about it is when you end up applying for the team, you can put like why you want to play and what's your goals optional. And things. And yeah, he doesn't do it. And they're like, man, well, he didn't put a reason. And he ends up throwing his thing. It's like the crazy deal. You have the blooper at the end, like, this is supposed to show us how great he is at basketball because he throws a piece of paper into the trash.
Slam dunk.
Yeah, and he ends up like, I don't have a reason. Wherever you go, the basketball's what I do. He's like, okay, buddy. He's like all fired up. And this guy does get to the point with like, I need a good team. He wants to go where the game's the hottest. Look, he needs to go where it's hot. Though, again, the others in the, the generation of miracles, they ended up going in, their schools that are select schools they seem to go to. He does. I guess that's the play, too, because he was in the U.S. Nobody has really scouted him. So he's just here at this high school. But yeah, they're like, oh my God, that guy's scary. I thought we'd have more. And they're talking about the team. I thought we'd have more applicants. I thought we'd get more people here. And that's when they end up seeing Tetsuya Kuroko ends up having applied. And they look at his thing and it said that he went to the Taiko Basketball Club. That is the Generation of Miracles. So, and he would have been part of it. But again, you don't play much in the idea of like, this can't be true. We don't know that name, or we don't. They kind of say a little, but it kind of gets pushed aside. It's kind of a weird deal where, what we end up finding out is the coach, and it's a girl who is Riko Aida. She ends up saying, I didn't see this guy apply. Well, when did he sign this?
Like
there was nobody here. But
ghost.
Again, he's a ghost. And with that, they're like, okay, well, if we have a first year, he was part of the generation, the miracle generation. Oh my God, how can I miss a gem like that? She says, and she thinks this is going to be the greatest thing ever. I mean, this is like you get Michael Jordan on your team. She's so excited about it. And so you end up going, and again, you just go from one scene to the next, and it's not really, like the art isn't going to wow you either.
No.
It's just kind of faces, and a lot of times not even faces, right? Because these guys have all gathered, and she comes in and says basically, all right, strip down, take off your shirts because I'm the coach. At one point, man, that's the manager. She's a cutie, huh? I'm the coach. And oh my God, what's going on, right? So these two guys get hit in the back of the head by this old guy. But you end up where she says, take off your shirts. And the big thing about that is her dad was a physical trainer who ended up being able to rape people and stuff. And she picked up that skill. So basically, she's walking down sus, looking at dudes with their shirts off and telling them things to make it so that we know she knows what she's doing, right? Like, hey, your fast twitch muscles are weak. You average 50 side steps in a second. I think the one guy's like, I don't know what you're talking about, lady. Side steps? I'm sidestepping my ass out of here. I'm not supposed to curse. But yeah, and then the other guy's like, hey, well, you want to do that? You got to get better at the core. Hey, you're too stiff. You got to stretch when you get out of the bath. I might be able to help you with that. Right? I'm telling you, I'm happy.
Why don't you come on over sometime?
Hey, and Yeah, they're like, man, and these guys are like, man, she really nailed it. Like, she's right. I can only
see the
do
stats.
Yeah, I can only do average 50 side steps in 20 seconds. I didn't even know that before now. Oh my God. And
Whoa.
then, the one guy's like, her father. And it's always the guy with glasses.
Glasses.
Her father is an athletic trainer. I'm like, thanks a lot, narrator.
He's doing all the narration for us.
There he is. He's doing it. And he's like, oh, yeah. And he's the type who records data in order to recommend training regimens. She picked up that skill, so that's what she does. And you do see when she looks at people, she does have a visualization of their stats, of their physical abilities. Here we come. Here comes Kagami. It's like, did anybody say take your shirt off? As he shows up, I'm like, oh my, look at you.
Hello.
And he's like, what's up? And I love that he says it's getting cold over here. I think he's worried about shrinkage. He doesn't know quite the stats that they're going with. It is weird that they say that. But she goes over and basically, also the weird thing about these stats, I don't know how. She can tell their potential. So she can tell, oh my God, this person hasn't even reached the potential yet. Or this guy, he's already passed his potential. She sees, this Kagami and says, oh my God, he's off the charts. She's cursing in her mind and says no first year should be this big on the measurables and that he hasn't even reached his true potential. He's a natural born talent. Now, with that, if you're going to make it like somebody, it reminds me of that baseball player that they end up having to get in the whole deal with the Dragon Balls. Nine Dragons. When they went to get, remember that one guy who was working at his dad's convenience mart because his dad had gotten sick? That's who it reminds me of. The idea that this guy doesn't even have to try. He's so good.
Powerhouse.
But it's going to be his attitude that's going to hold this guy back. But he's natural born talent. And you end up where she's just staring. Glasses has to jump in. Hey, coach, you're staring at that guy too much. What's going on? And then they're like, oh, I'm sorry. And then she says, hey, is this, Kuroko here? This is the guy that's supposed to be from the Miracle Generation. Where I guess he didn't show up. And they're like, nope, didn't see any guy like that. I guess she's standing right in front of him. I mean, She is right there. And you're like, looks like he's out today. That's fine. Time to go to, excuse me. And this guy's there, and they do make him look like a ghost. I mean, he looks like and he says, I'm Kuroko. And she ends up, what? Like he materialized out of nowhere. And that's the crazy play here, that he is so nothing. Nobody cares about him. Nobody worries about him. He has no presence whatsoever.
Invisible.
But he ends up using that, even though, and we're going to find out, not really that great at basketball overall, if he had to play a regular game. But she ends up going, oh my God, and everybody's like, when did he get here? I didn't see him. What? He was here. This is the running gag that we'll have. He'll even do it while he's eating the burgers. But so the whole deal is this kid being introduced of, hey, I was here this whole time. Everybody, he's got zero presence. Oh my God, that's from the Miracle Generation. Was he a starter? That can't be him. He doesn't look like anything. And so, they say, did you play? Were you on the bench? Again, saying that. And he's like, oh, no. I played games. And I like where they think that he's just going to say, yeah, I never got in. Because they're like, yep, what? What? And they end up where I don't believe it. I'm telling you, go get some film. If this was such a big team, I know it's middle school, whatnot, but especially nowadays, I mean, even my son, Logan, who plays, he's got like individual film of himself he can go watch from school now. But the whole idea is they don't believe him. Oh my God, this can't be true. But you end up having the coach. I think she realizes right away, this must be that phantom player that we heard of. This guy who was like undercover. But I'll give it to you then, because they go off and you end up following then Kagami, who just, he likes to eat the burgers. He likes the burgers. He likes to chow down. Now, I think that that's also pointing towards the idea that he was in America and he's used to like that sort of food, because, I would think that you'd have burgers more if you were in the U.S. than possibly
Is this a
Japan,
normal order in America?
I mean, no,
I don't know.
but he's just, he's a growing kid, but he gets a ton.
Goodness.
And he goes he all right away doesn't seem to like the cut of Kuroko's jib.
No
he's
way.
like, what's with this kid? He's a jerk, right? And he doesn't know anything about the this Taiko squad anyway because he was in America. But you go because he ends up going to the Maji Burger joint.
Maji Burger with the M.
Well, and that's the funny thing is, even that guy who's sitting there is like, how many burgers does that guy have? This guy's freaking out.
He got a tray full of them. Jeez.
Exactly. But yeah, he goes and gets all these. He's going to sit down and eat. But you go from there.
And then he gets very unlucky with his seating arrangements in this Maji Burger joint. Because a number of times now he goes to sit down, and then who does he see sitting at the table? It's only Kuroko sitting with his milkshake, reading that same old book that he's reading all the time.
It's on the same page. And yeah, but he doesn't see him before he sits down.
It's like he's sitting there invisible.
It's like he's invisible. I do like the play when he's like, what are you doing sitting? He's like, I was sitting here first, dude.
Whoa,
like, he does say that, but...
He does, like, he's no wallflower. Like, he does throw a bit of shade. Like, he's like, oh, having a growth spurt because he's, like, making fun of the burgers.
Yeah, all those burgers, right?
Jeez.
I like that he's just sitting there and he says he's people watching. And then they're like, okay. And this guy, he gets mad. He really is angry at this kid because he says, what's the deal with this team, right? And even so, you go, and then I'll get back to you. You end up having the coach. When she looked at him, Kuroko did not have any good stats. He had lame stats, and she said he's way too low. He's already, reached his potential. His potential's nothing. How could he play for that powerhouse school? And I kind of like the idea at this point is like a lot of times where you measure stats and things like that, that doesn't mean like Wayne Gretzky isn't the greatest physical specimen hockey's ever seen. He's the greatest player, though, because there's more to it. You do get that with him. But you end up where, the whole deal with Kagami, he's not so happy, and he takes him to go and see, let me see what you got, right?
We got street tennis. Is this street basketball?
This is just going to the park, and they're going to play. They're going to go at it. Yeah, because he's not so sure that this kid is good. And so this is Kagami, pretty much testing Kuroko. But you go with that where he even says, I went to America, came back, and Japan sucks at basketball.
Sucks.
Yeah, it's like everybody sucks. And he's not likable, but I don't get that he is like the villain.
No.
Or even the rival. It's just that...
Some people might like the bad boy attitude.
Well, and he is the bad boy attitude, but they're on the same team. And he is just kind of like, well, I mean, he's confident, but I don't hate him because I don't know enough about him. And that's kind of the deal. I don't like Kuroko because I don't know anything about him. He's a fan of the Ghost Boy. But so when you go and he says, I do like it. I'm not here to play, games for fun. I want the game that gets my blood boiling. I'm going with hotness. I'm like, holy moly. But you go here, they end up where they're going to play, a little one-on-one.
They're going to throw down here. And even he's like, I can smell him. I can smell the strength in my opponents. But Kuroko, his strength is totally odorless. So either he's just been in the shower.
What a weird comment, right? It's so weird. You don't smell like nothing, boy. And he's ready to go one-on-one and face somebody.
And Kuroko, he throws down the jacket there, about to get going.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I thought I think the play is we were going to see some real crazy skills here. The first shot, he gets rejected right in his face. Everything's clunking. I like that one where, that second, he looks like he's like 2 foot tall. Look at him there. But I will give you the one thing that it does look like Kagami's sweating a bit at least, but he's killing him. Yeah. I mean, at that point, it's 16-0. It looks like at the one point. It's nonsense. At one point, you end up having, and again, a bigger guy stealing it from a little guy who doesn't even seem to know what happened. Kuroko's like, well, what happened? But yeah, he stinks. He's terrible.
And that's the thing, because he's thinking, like, there's a lot of players who are short stacks, but they make up with elite specialized skills. But this kid, and we do see him just like running for the ball. He can't even dribble.
No, he can't
even
dribble.
Take the shots.
He got rejected again.
Jeez.
It says he's so weak, and I'll give you the shout out. Like a guy like Allen Iverson would be a guy. That guy, then he was not 6 foot. They claimed he was. So there was no way. And that guy was driving, and he's awesome. But yeah, this guy doesn't. Kuroko doesn't have anything. But that's the problem is his game isn't one-on-one. That's the whole deal by the end. It's not a one-on-one situation. Plus, why would he ever be going against a guy who is probably one of the biggest, tallest, first years in all of Japan, it seems. He's not going to do well with that because he doesn't like the light shining on him because he's the Phantom. And yeah, so you basically get, Kagami saying, you stink. What's going on? Are you playing with me? He gets mad. He says, are you just, making me the fool here? What are you doing? And you end up, Kuroko goes, no, you're obviously the better player. That's it. He's like, well, you trying to pick a fight. I like the idea. He's like, you're really good. What did you say, buddy? And he gets mad.
Like shade in his mind.
And then he says, this is why he didn't have a cent to him. Because he's nothing. He says, I'm an idiot. I don't know. And ends up just leaving. Like, all right, I'm done here. You don't interest me. You're weak. Let me give you a warning. And as he leaves, he says, you should quit basketball.
Ooh.
And all that. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, people talk about putting in a good effort, but talent's all that actually matters. We've seen this in a lot of these, sports manga. We've seen this a million times with it. Even in non-sport one, the idea of you don't have the talent, you got to hit the road. But you end up having, Kuroko's like, I disagree. I don't think that's the case. I think I see things differently. I don't care who's strong or weak. I'm not like you. I'm a shadow. And that's the big deal.
You see the silhouettes because he's the shadow.
He is the shadow. And at that point, I thought, does he mean? Because a lot of time when you're shadowing a guy or whatever, you're playing good defense. I'm like, I don't see any defense going on earlier. We'll find out kind of what it means. It's still a little wacky as far as basketball goes, but you end up where the luck of the draw, I guess it's raining, so they can't run. They're going to actually have practice a 5-on-5. They're going to have a scrimmage. The second years versus the first. The second years are pushed as these great, man, they almost made it to the finals league last year, and they're pretty good, and we're going to have to go against them. Well, you end up, figuring out that Kagami, he's really going to end up just destroying him. And he does for a while, but you can't, this is the idea where you have, and I think this is the play, Kuroko has to play, his game is to help others. He's, he's basically, in my mind, he's just a point guard when he does come in and he distributes the ball. And you end up having, at the beginning, Kagami's just, it's all me, and he's jamming. I mean, he's doing the best. He's probably easily the best one there, but he's not a team. And the first years do start kind of coming back once they regroup, once they decide at one point, they figure he's a ball hog. We just have to keep the ball from him. And they put 3 guys on just him, even when he doesn't even have the ball. So there's a lot of guys open. But again, these guys aren't that great. They're not playing as a team, all this stuff. And you even have the deal with Kuroko there. They're trying to, have him do things. He's dribbling. He gets it stolen from him. He ends up looking like he's, really in trouble.
No.
Like he is like, oh my God, what's going on? What, this guy has to have been lying. All these things happening. But you end up where you have, again, Kagami still impressing everybody, but you finally get Kuroko doing some things after a lot of bullying, after a lot of yelling, after the second years start really pulling away with their strategy of the deal. They're pretty much the hack-a-shack, and if you wouldn't know what that means probably, but the idea if you've watched basketball, like they are just destroying him and not paying attention to anybody else. But you have the rest of the first years, not Kuroko, but the other 3, say, we give up. We don't have a chance. They're too good. Kagami does not like that. He says,
ain't no quitter.
What are you doing? Don't give me that, you quitter. Now, this is where, it all comes together. Again, though, is it enough at this point to get you that excited? Because then what ends up happening, and I love the idea where you do have Kuroko, who, is sneaking up behind people and whispering. He says, please calm down. He's like, what are you doing? What's going to go on? And they end up deciding, okay, let's see what's going on and see what's happening. And that's when you do see, the idea, hey, can you try passing it to me? Kuroko wants the ball. Kagami thinks he's too good, and he is not passing. Now, this is where it's kind of a very select deal in my mind, because we've already seen Kuroko, he can't dribble. He can't, pass. Well, we'll see. But he can't shoot very well.
No.
But so it needs to be a specific setup deal.
You got to do something.
He needs to get the pass. And then basically what this is the minute that he gets the pass, he can see the whole court. You get this idea that he can see the whole court. And before the ball even gets to him, he's pretty much grabbing and passing it as if it's invisible. It's so quick, but then right back to somebody else. He's there to shine the light. This is the whole deal of the shadow. He is so inconsequential, but when he gets the ball, boom, and it goes to the next guy to get the big dunk and the big, fanfare. He's not interested in that. But you see from the art that, this is pretty crazy. Whoa. And they even say, and it's funny, because at this first part he does it, you see the ball kind of becomes invisible in his hand because it goes. I thought that was pretty cool. Number 9 is about to get hit right in the face. And I'm telling you,
KO.
I am shocked that the play isn't that he didn't get knocked out, because he would not be ready for that. He's not looking, but yet there he is. He catches it and scores. He gets a layup. He's right there. But I don't know how he would have realized that quickly.
No, it would have been great if it hit him on the head and then,
and then went in,
up,
boom, in.
Nothing but that.
Jose Canseco. You don't even know that. But they're like, where'd that pass come from? Oh my God, what happened? And that's the thing with this. We then see him. I mean, this guy's like Magic Johnson now. Whoa. Look at this guy all over the place.
I don't know who that is.
Behind the back passes and there and that. You should know who that is. That just shows. But the big thing is everybody's screaming, what's going on? He passed the ball before we realize it's there. This is his talent. This is the deal. And again, it goes back to what I said earlier, the idea that you don't have to be the biggest physical guy to be like a John Stockton, right?
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? John Stockton.
No, I don't.
But it ends up where his hands are only on the ball for a split second. He's a distributor. All right. To me, again, at this point, it is feeling a little bit like why didn't that 9 Dragon Balls last? Because this does have a little bit more deep cut in the basketball. But it's not so much, because really at the deal, but it's not as easy as, Blue Lock, where you kick the ball in the net. Obviously, there's other strategy, but this whole idea. At the
start, they don't introduce it that.
No, this idea.
Quick.
He's a magician, and he uses the sleight of hand, misdirection, where he gets it. And you do see these things, but again, it seems like he's not really that great at anything else. So I guess you just kind of insert him in to kind of get the ball to your main guy, and that's where you will get him. But there it is. He was Tycho Middle School's invisible passing specialist. And she's heard, and it's the coach, she's heard rumors. Now, again, the problem is that that's not a great thing. He can't dribble. He can't do anything.
There's a reason why he was like the 6th guy.
No, the 6th man, I don't even think he should be the 6th guy. It's one thing to be able to pass, but not to be able to play the game. You're really going to have to, gear things around.
This is the least exciting of the generation of miracles.
Well, the other ones all went off to these elite schools, but nobody paid attention to him. Now, I want to see where you get these other guys struggle, because he's not there. Maybe we'll see that later. The idea that, because they're also split up, but the idea that he was the one, because again, he even says to Kagami coming up, I'll let you get all the light. The light will shine on you. I don't mind. So how much was he involved with the, Miracle Generation? We'll have to see. But again, it's kind of a forced deal with his skill set. But there it is, the Miracle Generation's Phantom 6th man. And you end up where these guys in Kagami, he seems impressed now at little. At least he ends up, getting some passes and sees that. But the whole deal is this rest of the team, a bunch of numbskulls. And with that, you end up having they're down by 1. The first year's down by 1. You actually do get, Kuroko gets a steal and actually has a fast break, and he has a layup and he clunks it. And I like that it says clunk. So they're going to lose until Kagami comes in and he gets the rebound slam, swear to God, right off his head afterwards. and the best is, that's what they would call like the poster slam, but it's his teammate. You can't have that. The poster slam is when you're slamming it over a defender. But he ends up saying, like I said, and this is the thing, I think now he's just pissed. Weaklings piss me off. You gotta follow through. But there you have the Phantom guy, and everybody's like, oh my God, we actually won the first years. This is crazy. I feel like that the second years, they're not as mad. They're just like, man, we got a good team. These guys are pretty good. So
they're
we got
all
a good
on the same team.
Yeah, everybody's all. So you just switch and we're almost done. And again, I told you there wasn't going to be a lot to talk about with this because it's
back
just
at the Burger
very
King.
quick and just a couple scenes. Yeah, they go back to the burger joint there, and you got Wimpy over here, and he ends up where he got a whole tray of burgers, sits down again, not seeing Kuroko, and what are you doing here? You sat at my table. I like the vanilla shakes. And he's like, why don't you go find another seat? No, thank you. I sat here first. I don't know if you heard me that. I was here first. And he's like, you know what? Have a burger, jerk. And throws a burger out. Did you ever get the idea that Kuroko wanted a burger?
No.
I didn't. He's got his shake. He's in the backyard, right? And so he's there and, yeah, you know what? You did okay today, kid.
Good enough for one burger.
You're not that good. I'm just giving you one of my burgers. I want to
Maybe tomorrow you get two burgers.
Kuroko's is like, thanks. I want him to say, I'm a vegetarian, jerk, or something. I don't know. He's drinking a shake as well. But he's like, all right. But we never got the idea that he couldn't afford it. Like, if you came over and this kid, he must have some dough, though, with all these burgers. But he comes over. Hey, why aren't you eating 20 burgers? And he's like, well, I can only afford a shake. So you didn't get that. You just end up, hey, have a burger, and throws it at him. I mean, I'd eat it, but still.
You would say no.
The big thing now is, this miracle generation. And he's seen that this kid has weird skill, but he at least has something. He gave him a burger. Hey, what about this generation, miracle generation? You think I'm better? And I think that this guy is used to, Kagami's used to people saying he's great. And there's nobody better. You're the best. Oh, my God. He even had it so far in this. And he's like, hey, how would I do against him? I'd be pretty good, right? They'd be scared of me. It's like, you would be utterly crushed as he's like, he is another one where, like, in the deal, the vampire boy in Witch Watch, Morocco, where he just says what he says.
Sounds like
That's what it seems like he is. Like, he doesn't have a filter either, but he's like, nope, you'd be utterly crushed. And he's like, man, you could have been nicer about that. He's like, no. They're prodigies. They went off to different elite high schools. And yeah, every one of them could be number one. You'd get crushed. Every one of them would kill you. And so he's like, nice. I'm fired up because I'm going to beat them. I'm going to be the best in Japan. Oh. And then you end up, Kuroko's looking at him and he's like, yeah, I don't think so. Just sips. I'm like, as he said, I don't think so. And he sips his deal. What the? And he's like, well, I don't know about your hidden potential, but yeah, you're not as good as them. It's impossible. You couldn't do it alone. And that's the big thing. You have Kagami who keeps doing things and saying things alone. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And he says, hey, listen, I'll be your shadow. I'll do the shadow bit that I do. The brighter the light on you, the more I'm in the shadows, the intense deal, and we could work together and make you the best in Japan. And then you end up having Kagami. That's big talk. Well, whatever. And he's like, hey, you want to do it? Yeah, I'll do my best. I'm like, there it is. And are you like, man, these two are great friends?
They feel like there's barely any connection. I don't know why he's bothering to be the shadow to his light.
I guess maybe because he's good, but I don't know.
That one burger gesture of kindness really turned it around.
Here's the thing, really. I think the turnaround is, and maybe as we go, you end up seeing that at least Kagami is going to end up, like, seeing him all the time. Like, they'll be in a room and like, hey, I guess Kuroko didn't come. He's like, what do you mean? Me and him are over here playing cards. Or I don't know. Whatever
he keeps on chucking burgers at him?
Yeah, just burgers. But, yeah, this whole deal, it's just at the end of it, I don't know really what you get out of this first chapter.
It's a little forced.
This ends up being something that a lot of people liked. And, you have the anime, you have stage plays. But at the beginning, you're not getting a lot. You're not even getting a lot of basketball. Like, you are, but it's a weird swerve of basketball to just explain he's a distributor. And you just get a jerk who eats hamburgers, but not a jerk enough that I hate him. I just don't like him as much. You expect, you know what it is? You end up seeing this guy, and you know that he's, he'll have a heart of gold. He'll end up changing his ways, and then you got a other kid who basically is being played as the main character, but he's so inconsequential that nobody sees him, but yet you're not giving me enough for me to even want to care to follow him. So it is a weird deal. I will tell you right now, my score isn't so bad, but I don't know that I would ever keep going. I think that I would read this. I'm like, I really don't care for these.
You don't want to see what happens next.
No, I really don't care to see, Kagami end up trying to beat the Miracle Generation guys and have the Shadow Basketball Phantom here. And I like basketball, and that's the thing that, kind of gets me going and stuff like that. But with this, I'm not really getting enough of it. It seems a little sus when I think about it. In an overall idea of sports deal, this guy, I don't care how much he can pass. He's got to be able to at least dribble the ball or something. I mean, you're going to have a lot of liability
the dribble
out there.
Master in the generation?
That's the thing. It's weird. Like, he couldn't be the point guard. So I would think that, and it's weird too, because I don't know that I'd want him to be the shooting. There's not a real great position for him. Small forward, maybe, that you end up, I don't know. He just kind of comes out. I think that what we'll see is, the coach is going to have to kind of come up with a different strategy. You're not going to be able to even go with the standard positions, maybe the way he is, because, he's just kind of a guy who, passes, but you have to pass to him, and then the ball disappears, and just whatever. But with that, what would you give it?
Yeah, I'm not going to go crazy high either, because I don't even like basketball. So, like, what am I supposed to do? I mean, and there's a lot of talking for a basketball match. Like, not a lot of, like, we do get a couple of slam dunks, but not a lot of slam dunks. You know what I mean? And I came for the slam dunks. I didn't come for the chit-chat. So... And the
only dribbling is the words dribbling out their damn mouths every 10 seconds. Quiet it up, guys.
The dribbling coming out of the sus coach lady. I don't know what's going on there.
Spitting burger everywhere, probably. Geez. I don't know. What would you give it?
We're not crazy with the characters either, so I'm not going to go crazy high. I think flat 7.
I'm going, 7.
That's about it,
Yeah, I could even go 6.5. It just didn't get me. It really didn't get me, and the idea of going.
We usually like the sports mangas.
Yeah, we do, because it sets up an easy way to get rivals and attention, and usually at the beginning you go, and that's the thing too. When you talk about it, when we started this, I was worried, like, how are we gonna? Because it's all talking. It really is a lot of chit chat going on here, and I would kind of compare it to Haiku a bit, but Haiku, definitely you're in right away.
And there was more. It felt like there was a deeper connection. Like you were rooting for the characters by the end of that. I'm not rooting for nobody in this. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, when you end up seeing, a kid who's so inspired to play volleyball that he'll play just bouncing a ball against a wall for a year and begging people, that you kind of go behind and think, I can follow him. Not this guy. I came from America, and you're all suckers. You stink at the basketballs. Like, really? Go back to America, jerk. Right?
Your burgers over there.
You stupid jerk.
What are you supposed to be? I really want to be like the Invisible Kid. Oh, yeah, deadly. Great.
Yeah, actually, maybe that's why I'm mad. That's how I feel in this house. My kids and my wife are going around, where's Dad? We just ate dinner. I'm right here. I want dinner.
The podcasting generation Americans.
Yeah, they ended up getting buffalo wings yesterday, and I'm just sitting there. Nothing for me. Anytime I go anywhere, I get stuff for them. Those jerks. I was so angry, and then I started making food, and they're like, "Oh, what are you making for dinner?" What am I making? You're making an enemy. That's what you're making because you just ate. And the worst part is they didn't even pay for it. I did.
Oh my goodness!
How does this make sense? I was the Phantom basketball player. This is, Kuroko's dinner time talk. That's what it was.
Burgers for Jim.
I sit there and I'm like Coach Arico, where I'm seeing the stats. Sus and sus. Right over both of them.
Cancel.
Jerks. But that's that. So I was worried about this, and I don't know. I did have the fire for this one, as we often do.
So there must be, and 3 seasons, and movies. There must be something.
Stage plays. Seriously, they got a sheet over him. He's a ghost. Look at me. Ooh, I'm the haunted basketball. Oh my goodness!
That's what people want.
Yeah, I hope that it's full out like musical. every time I think of those, I think musical anyway. So
Well,
I think I'd start singing.
Those are the
Get
bangers.
your head in the game. There's
Yes,
Joy Bolton
please.
there. Holy moly.
Where's Vanessa?
Yeah, really. Where is she? She went off dating everybody and stuff. I don't know that Vanessa. So yeah, with her, yeah, get out. Once she ended up dropping Troy Bolton, I was out. So I like Zac Efron. I haven't seen him in a while though.
Gem.
Yeah, one point
That's the thing.
like
No gems in this. I'll tell you that. And even she says, "Oh, we've got a gem on our hands." No, we don't. I don't see any.
No. Now with that, you go through this whole deal. Now you're on the app. I have the 2-in-1. You go and you look at the second quarter. They go by quarters here, which is kind of ridiculous because you're going to end up at such a high number. Don't play that. Yeah, 232 quarter. When you go, I actually I get more character and more likability from that first page of the second chapter.
Oh, really?
Because you end up having Kuroko. He's like, okay, he's looking right at me. He looks kind of cool. You end up having, I want to see that.
You want to see that?
Yeah.
We did the wrong chapter.
Plus, it's on the roof, it's called. Holy moly.
That's a bad place to play basketball.
But then I'm looking at it again. It's a bunch of yelling and screaming again. It's a lot of, very talky, this
very
one.
Talky
right?
for
I'm looking at the
people.
deal. Yeah, I think they're right into games and stuff. So maybe that's
don't mess around.
Maybe we have to get to that. But yeah, with that, a little bit of a disappointment. Sorry about that, everybody. But yeah, we'll be back again next week with something non-sports next week. We have a couple things, maybe a horror theme, maybe a fantasy.
Spooky.
We haven't done many fantasy or mecha stuff, and I have a couple things that we might end up being able to do. But with that, everybody go over to our Twitter at Weird Manga. Also go to our Patreon, patreon.com/Weird Science Manga, where you can get all sorts of things. You can get our weekly, very weekly Picks of the Week podcast on Tuesday or Wednesday, and also you end up being able to get all of the Manga Monday shows in advance. You get a bunch in advance, though I don't know. This one, they're going to be like, why do I want your misery, jerks? But that's how we play. We don't love everything.
It is.
Also, you can go to Weird Science Manga on Instagram, and I have some stuff, including some very weekly mini reviews of some of the chapters and things that I'm going to get Luke involved with too. So yeah, I got to put you to work. But with all that's that. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for joining me, Luke, and we'll talk to you next Monday.
We are fighters, we fight until we win. The sense